Good day, my name is Gia. One of the most frequently asked questions I get is, how can I quickly evaluate my students' work or what they have done in Typing Agent? This webinar is designed to answer that question. We know upfront that Typing Agent is a huge program that gives you a lot of data. Some of it you may find useful, some of it may not be for you. That's okay. The best way for you to know Typing Agent and its reports is for you to actually log in and begin exploring. We ask you to do exactly what you ask your students to do. Go ahead, begin playing around. Let's see what you get. For those of you who don't have that luxury or you think you don't have that luxury, today's webinar will walk you through some of the reports that you may find useful to quickly evaluate your students, whether you're working from home or they're working from home or whether they're at school with you. Namely, I will walk you through the diagnostic tests, the progress report, the time report, and the custom report. Let's get started. Now, I know I shouldn't have to tell you, make sure you're logging in at your school or your district's web address and not at typingagent.com. Should you try doing that, you will get an error message. Notice as soon as I get here, I land on the dashboard, and notice there's a green line under dashboard, so that tells me that's my splash page. When I look at this page, I notice I already have data. Most teachers don't even bother with this page because it has nothing, or they think it has nothing useful for them. But should you ever want to compare your classes with any of other class or see what other grades are doing, you can click on this and get information about your district or your school or your classroom in particular. Notice I was surprised the other day. I actually got a question, where do I find the reports in Typing Agent? Well, if I just look across here, I have reports. If I were to click on it, it tells me, or hover over it, it tells me that I have class reports. So if I were to click on that, I get this page. It tells me the reports that we have, and notice they are in alphabetical order. And if you look carefully, there's writing in green that tells you exactly the information you will get from every report. So it's not going to be a surprise. We tell you what would give you in each report. So you have that. You can either go click this select a class, click the grade level you want. You can either get the data for all your students, or if you only want for one particular student in a class, you can do that. Then you can click run report. Once you run your report, you can also get your data, you can get it to export the data in a CSV file. All of our data, all of them, you can export. So I said I would start with the diagnostic tests. So what I'm going to do is click here, and I'm going to click on a class. I think I shouldn't make any assumptions because I don't know where you're coming in with knowing Typing Agent. So generally, we ask students to do, if they're in K through 2 grades, K through 2, and 3 and above, all students in Typing Agent must do a diagnostic test. It's not the placement test that is given to grades 3 and above. Your diagnostic test is meant to show improvement over time. So whether your kid is in kindergarten or that child is in grade 12, everyone does the diagnostic test. So I'm going to click on the reports, and notice I'm in this classroom here. I click on diagnostic tests. I go and I select the curriculum that I have this on. We don't make any assumptions. Even though this is a grade 4 class, this class you may have scheduled them or given them a K through 2 curriculum. So we let you decide which curriculum you'd like to see. And then it tells you where your kids or how your students have done in terms of, you can see their words per minute and their accuracy rates. Notice the legend we have here. Notice this sign tells you that that you can export this result. And notice you can see, if I were to scroll down, I can see what my students have done. Like if I look at Sharon Bates, I look at this diagnostic test, it tells me what this whole class is doing in terms of average accuracy and speed. And notice it tells me what she's done for test, this is her initial test for diagnostic test 1, 2, and 3. And I can scroll across and get more had she done more. Notice here, this bar graph is telling me no one has done this test yet, this diagnostic test 6 is yet, but this is there if your students are, well, if they're in, and no matter where they are, they will have to do the diagnostic test. This report will tell me where they are. If I were to say click on the grade 2 test, on this grade 2 class, I can again click diagnostic test, pull this curriculum up, and I see where these children are. With the K through 2s, notice they only have 3 diagnostic tests because they do the initial baseline test, which is your diagnostic test 0. They do it after they've completed Mountain 1, Mountain 2, and Mountain 3. So by the end of this year's use of typing agent, you should see a stark difference between the diagnostic test 1 versus diagnostic test 4. With the older kids, notice they have more tests because after they've done their baseline test in diagnostic test 1, they then have all these different worlds. So by the time they've done the second diagnostic test, which comes up after world 4, they then have to do each one until they've completed all 28 units. They do that last diagnostic test, and you will have a great report to compare from beginning to end. So that's a quick and easy way you can find out whether your kids are progressing with typing agent. Now, another test that I find really helpful for you is this progress report. You want to see how they're progressing. So I'm in grade 4, I'll take this. Notice you land on the summary page. Now, again, making no assumptions, typing agent standard is that students must type at 2 stars. That is, they must earn at least a silver star in order to move on. Now, let me show you where you would do that. That's my settings, my target settings. This here, when your kids, for grade 4, our settings is that kids must type 20 words per minute at 85% accuracy to gain 2 stars. Our standard proficiency is that 2 star, and when your children are working, we have it that they have no max retries. They have to keep doing and practicing until they get that skill learned. We don't want them moving on to get to a higher level when their foundation isn't really solid. Now, I know many teachers like to go and click this 4 retries or 1 retry because they say the kids will get bored. Typing is a body kinesthetic skill. You will never hear a basketball player say, I'm tired of dribbling, or a professional tennis player saying, I'm tired of hitting the ball, or a professional pianist saying, I'm tired of practicing scales. These are the bare minimum, the basic skills your students should know. So we put it at no max retries. So if they're learning home row, they do not move to second row or bottom row until they have these sorted out. So in the reports, in the progress report in particular, if you're looking at these, if you see that your child has gained 3 stars, it means that they're working beyond the grade level, which is just 1 word per minute or 1 percentage accuracy more than what they gain at 2. If you wish, you can make your 3 stars even higher than what we have it, because all of those areas are customizable. However, when you look at your report, if I'm looking at a distance and if I'm working at a distance and I just want to see what my children have done, I would see at quickly that this child has 0. So this child really should go back and redo this. If I had done this, I had changed my settings so that I could let my kids just move on. When we had that set at 0, we found that children were just moving on and not really getting the basics. So we now have it that they must have at least 1 star in order to move on. You'll notice here that the child will not be able to move on. This Blondie Brothers will not be able to move on because she's going to have to go and correct these 0s. So should you ever see any of these 0s in your work, in your report, please tell your students or your child to go back and redo those 2 lessons. Notice they're in World 1, Lesson 1. So it's easy. World 1, Lesson 3. They must go and do these particular lessons again. Notice here where it says working. This here tells me this student tried this activity. They didn't complete it, but they did not get the words per minute nor the accuracy that's needed. So we're going to just encourage them to keep on trying and trying that again. If you see that your student has a flag here, you can always go and change it. It's saying that your student is getting 70%. And notice when I hover over any of these things, we tell you what the issue is. So if you find that your student is getting less than 70% accuracy, you may want to go and customize the settings for this particular child. So I have no one here that's flagged, but take, for instance, it was Blondie who wasn't doing well. I click that, I go here, click her accommodations, and where she was getting less than 70% accuracy, with typing agent, accuracy is more important than speed. So I can actually go here, I can make her slow down. I'm not going to change my accuracy because I want her to work at 85% accuracy. So I'm going to slow it down so she takes her time. And if I change that to 15, then I need to change this to something else. So I would put it at 10. And I'm going to leave this exceeding grade level expectations because this is what her grade level is doing. I can click the apply, and that now changes for Blondie. So now that's how you would customize this for that particular student. So that's the progress report. Notice that's not all I can get with the progress report. I land on the summary page and I can scroll all the way down to see where the student is at the what lesson was the last lesson any student in my class did. I can also click here and clicked on a detailed progress report. The detailed progress tells me this information at a glance. The total time the student has spent in typing agent. And notice, please note that with typing agent, our time is spent, we calculated on how much active time is done in typing agent. So for example, if Blondie, this student, logged on and clicked on the keyboarding curriculum and does nothing, we do not count that time. It's how much time she is actively typing. That's the time that's registered in typing agent. We give you the average accuracy, the average words per minute, and the grade that that student has attained in typing agent. So that's when you want, and this here will tell you if your student has completely done all of the curriculum, well then this would be at 100%. So that's a quick way of you finding out, did my students do all of them? And that's a question we get. We're getting more and more often saying, hey, my child has finished typing agent. How do I move them on? We suggest go and check your summary reports first. Make sure they've attained at least 2 stars. If you see 1 star or incomplete, please tell them go back and do it. And you know what, before I show you, before I log out, I'll walk you through how you can get your students doing actually that, how they can go and click on lessons and redo those lessons. Let's now look at the time reports. We get a lot of questions. Well, how much time has a student really spent in the program? Notice Typing Agent is much more than a keyboarding program. We have different curriculums in here, so you have to select the curriculum you want. Notice we tell you what the student has done for this particular week. And if there's a lot of times, like for this week, you can choose for this month, last month, 180 days, all time, or notice you can customize your dates. You can say if you wanted from April 1st to say today's date, you can go customize this and notice all at once your dates have adjusted and you get that. Should you choose a lot of times, it goes all the way. You'll have to keep scrolling down until you get the total time for your students. Notice the total is at the end here. A question we got was, how much do I have in and out? What does this mean, in school and out of school time? This really is based on how your administrators have set what is normally your in-school time. Your school starts at this time, it ends at this time. So this is your way of finding out how much your kids did in school and out of school. So if your school ended at 3 o'clock, then should you ever see anything like here, this is telling me that this student only worked after 3. If I saw anything in green, it means that this student did some work during school time. That's what this means. So it can be homework or schoolwork, but now if you're doing distance learning, well, this here really doesn't matter. You want to really see how much time your student has spent in the program. So those people who really pull data or need data that's based on time, the time report will support you in this matter. I'm now going to look at the custom reports. And again, you can get a custom report based on a student or a classroom report. So if I pull a custom report, for this, I can pull all of these. If I want to know my student's username, the first name, last name, I know the grade, I can just select what information I want and I pull it over here. I want to know the average accuracy, words per minute lessons, total time. I don't really care about the class's words per minute. And I'm in, this child is in, this grade is in grade 4. So I will just pull the things that concern grade 3 and above, and I can now go and run my report. I scroll to the bottom and I can see all the students in my class. It tells me the last time they logged in. I can scroll over. I can see the highest words per minute. Well, no one has finished any of the mountains, so that's why I get that not applicable. It tells me how much time they've spent, total time they've spent in the program. It tells me the highest lesson they are in and how many lessons they've done and how many they need to do in order to complete, or how many lessons there are in Typing Agent for them to do. So this student here has done 152 lessons out of a total of 283. So this is the type of information you may want to glean from Typing Agent. Now, I only pulled up what I wanted, but you can always go, if you don't want any of these things, you can always go highlight them and push them back over. Send them back over and it will only run the report based on the things you want. And again, you can always export the results for yourself. Now, I had said I wanted to show you if you have a child in your class and you wanted them to go and redo any lessons. I think it was Blondie. I will log in. I can click on Blondie's name. I can go to the keyboarding foundations and I can tell her click on all days and look for any lesson where she hasn't done, where she doesn't have 1-star minimum. See, like here, you can have them doing 2 stars. Sorry, she has 0 stars here, 1 star here. So she can actually go click on this one that says 2 stars and go and actually do that particular lesson. So that's it. I hope I was able to provide you with some ideas on how you can quickly evaluate your students using the diagnostic test, the progress report, the time report, and the custom report. The best way you can learn typing agent again is going in and evaluating it, playing it for yourself. You will, and by doing so, when your students come to you with any questions, you won't have to come to us. Although we don't mind you sending questions at support@typingagent.com and asking us to help you help your student. But if you know the program and you're able to pinpoint exactly where the errors are, you can answer your students just in time. You may also, if your students, if they're working remotely, if their parents write to you saying, hey, my kid has this issue, we invite you to copy the parent, put the parent's email when you write support using that checkbox in there. I should show you how you can easily communicate with us. Just go here. You can, this checkbox here, you can always write a question to us, and you can always, or write a question to support a typing agent, copy the parent in there, write to us and say, hey, this is the issue I'm having. One thing that a lot of teachers don't notice is that we have lots of support tools for you. So click on support, ask, okay, we saw what are experience points. Just click experience, write experience, and note we give you lots of help articles there. So instead of writing to us, you can help yourself. Notice we give you screenshots on anything. If you look for anything that's not there, in that chat box where you chat with us, just say, hey, can you do an article on something for me, please? We will be happy to do that for you. And again, if you're writing, we do not communicate with students. So please, if you have an issue or they have an issue, copy their parents with your email in there so that we can answer you, and then the parent or the parent or you can provide that support for the child. So thank you so much for listening. We look forward to hearing from you, but we really look forward to you having fun within Typing Agent and your children really maximizing their time while they're in the program. We wish you all the best, whether you're using Typing Agent at school or remotely. Stay safe. Have a great day. Bye-bye.